Have you ever started a health plan, felt excited for maybe about a week, and then poof, quit? Because either the results weren't instant or it just didn't seem like it was working. Well, you're not alone. But what if I told you that this mindset is actually what is sabotaging your long term health? And in fact, studies show that 80% of people abandon their health programs within the first 30 days due to unrealistic expectations, according to the Journal of Behavioral Medicine. And then on the other side of things, the supplement industry is worth $150 billion, and that's conservative. And it's largely fueled by people seeking quick fixes rather than sustainable solutions. And that's according to the Grandview research. Hi, if you are new to my channel, welcome. My name is Dr. Erica Steele, and this week is week 8 in Intro to Holistic Medicine #1. So if you're just joining us this week, welcome. It is a self-guided course. My name, again, Dr. Steele. I have 7 degrees in my field, all in the natural healthcare space. I like to say that I went to school so you don't have to. And so I teach lots of different classes here all over these platforms. However, this week is week 8. So if you're interested in the content, definitely consider continuing on and joining. It's going to be an amazing journey of education. So, okay, this week is all about this quick fix dilemma that largely drives a lot of people. And so everyone loves the topic of supplements. So this week is the week, right? But they tend to jump from one diet or one supplement or one healing protocol. So people often, again, use this quick fix mindset when they are looking to heal, and it really doesn't work because they're constantly giving up before real progress happens. And more importantly, people can really break free from this cycle and create long-lasting change, but a lot of people don't want to do that. And so we're going to talk about some of those key mindset traps this week. The first one I want to talk about is that instant gratification. So we live in a very fast-paced world. Everything's on demand. We watch what we want, do what we want, food, entertainment, even relationships. A lot of it is by demand. And so, but what if health doesn't really have to work that way? And so we want to kind of shift this mindset from this quick fix, but more to true healing, whether it's metabolic repair or gut health or reversing a chronic condition. We really want to understand that it takes time and there are phases. So Herring's Law of Cure, again, talks about, 1 month for every year that your body has been off of balance. And that is the ratio that we use. And then there's a whole therapeutic order that the body is expressing that shows us and gives us clues that largely in conventional medicine is suppressed. And so let's talk about like elimination diets, because sometimes people will need to do those, especially with autoimmune conditions. And so what if someone quit their elimination diet after just 1 week if they didn't feel any different? Because usually the first week of elimination diet sucks. Like it's, you want to eat certain things that you can't. You're like, your body's reacting in ways that it hasn't before. And so, it takes a while for your mind to calibrate. It takes a while for your body to calibrate. Just takes a while for you to sink into it. So the next thing is that first 30-day myth. So a lot of in the marketing world, they sell us in these 30-day transformations, and they drive me nuts. Like 3 steps to, transforming your life. And so research actually shows that most health changes require at least 3 to 6 months for measurable impact. So in my practice, when patients come on with me and they want to be monitored and all that stuff, it's a year. And the reason being is because it takes 6 months just to get into it, just to stop fighting yourself. And then from there, you really have, stronger strides. It does take a while for all of these changes to implement. I know we're packing everything in, but, there is a lot to unpack and really unfold in your healing process. People often excuse me, expect overnight results, and they also respect those too, right? From a provider perspective, if I'm going to get these overnight results, then I'm good. And so it makes us as providers have to kind of tap dance and appease to that. Definitely look forward in the future. I've got some great videos on health anxiety and all sorts of things that we deal with as providers. And so we want to make sure that people don't ignore this biological timeline of healing. We want to make sure that they understand that, the gut, for instance, that lining, it could take 90, 100, and sometimes even much longer. I've had patients for years and they're stable and doing well, however, we're still maintaining and working through. So someone that takes a probiotic for, let's say, a week and says it doesn't work, isn't really giving their microbiome enough time to shift, because that really does take time. And also too, if they're still eating junk and stressing out, what's the point of taking the probiotic? So, that's why I teach in the way that I do, because there's so many things that you can do that don't cost anything before you get to the point where, let's say, you're going to start to supplement, right, what you're already doing. So, all right, this is another one. So, emotional pull of the new. People love, the next latest and greatest thing. Every new protocol feels exciting. That dopamine rush, oh, I want to do this. Oh, I want to do that. I want to do this. But then, unfortunately, when that excitement fades and more discipline is required, that's where people will drop off and move to the next kind of shiny object, if you will. So think in terms of New Year's resolutions. That gym is packed in January, half empty by March. So same thing happens with health plans too. Every Monday, your food is great. By Wednesday, what happens? So we want to begin to get out of this kind of excitement filled and really understand that this is more grounded. This is more boring. This is more consistent, deliberate over time. And so we have to rewire our brains, our thinking, and our nervous system from, being in this kind of drama-filled state. Speaking of rewiring, we also have to rewire our mind for sustainable success. So that's where leadership comes in. That's where structures for fulfillment comes in. That's where all of shifting your focus from results also, right? Because we talked about results, especially last week, into now consistency. So now we're getting results, but now we're taking those results and building upon it and committing to those daily and then weekly habits over time. So now we begin to understand, or we're going to begin to understand that the healing timetables and timetables that it actually takes for shifts to happen, for changes in, let's say, weight loss, where, it's healthy for a pound to a pound and a half a week, or metabolic shifts, where those can take, 7, 14, definitely onwards, longer than that. And hormone imbalance, like that can take, gosh, a year minimum, and so metabolic shifts can happen pretty quickly, but I would say probably within 3 to 6 months, you're looking at that. So, and that's conservative. That's why we look at data. We don't guess, we test, we look at things and we assess. And we also use tracking tools such as journals, apps, we have, the Holistic Life app. We use all of these things to be able to measure our progress. We can measure all sorts of things, from your bioenergetic system to your biochemical system to, your remote patient monitoring. We can track your emotional state, your mental state, all sorts of different components, really important. So I had a patient once who thought, their detox wasn't working, and unfortunately, they were looking for this big bang. And then as we reviewed their labs, they're like, wow, we look at these changes. And that's why we review labs every 6 months when patients are working with me, because that holds everyone accountable, right? There are things to do. And in the middle, we're using questionnaires, we're using, our at-home testing, tools that I teach you, we're using, those different metrics in between. So we're checking the progress as we're going along. So the labs are more of just a touch base and really a change of protocol. That's oftentimes what we'll use lab markers for. So I look at labs every 6 months and then year end. And then again, I begin to teach you what your labs mean. And so then you know what those markers are and what you're trying to do. And so this week is all about getting out of that reactive thinking. We're going to get into more of a proactive mindset, even with our supplementation. So this week, I'm going to go over all kinds of sustainable structures. We're going to talk about, the difference between MLM companies and, let's say, retail-based companies. I'm going to give you some great resources for that. We're going to talk about professional grade companies and third-party testing. And we're going to get into all of the structures, disclaimers on Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to talk all about that. And then on Saturday, we're going to go deeper dive, and I'm going to give you the science behind how I look at supplements and how I utilize supplements, and really give you a professional understanding of supplementation that's going to be easy, practical, actionable, and I'm going to tell you what to look for. So again, really want to make sure that you tune in for this week. But of course, there's all that work behind us, but it's okay. It'll start to kind of all cement in the next 4 weeks, which will be part 3, the last part. And that's where you're going to put everything we've learned, you're going to put it all together and create your own personalized health plan that then you can be able to execute on. So really exciting. You can go back, because we'll have a 3-week break. You'll be able to go back, watch different videos, fill in, catch up. I'll just be running, some info lives and educational lives and fun things. So this week is going to be amazing. I'm really excited to be teaching this week. Everybody loves this type of education. And so I hope to bring about a lot of insight into how we use these tools, and that's all they are, tools, professionally. So like, share, subscribe, all of the things. And definitely, if you're not in the class already, I'm happy to have you. Take care.